Believe it or not, before The Rock and Vin Diesel started fighting each other and blowing up everything on screen, the Fast and Furious franchise was actually about cars and street racing. Who knew, right? One of the best was actually the third one, Tokyo Drift, which didn't really feature any of the main cast. Funnily enough, it was all about drifting, which brings me neatly to the game I've been playing, Inertial Drift. No, it has nothing to do with Vin Diesel's mega franchise, I just need an opening paragraph for this review. The title of Inertial Drift is, however, a riff on the classic Initial D manga anime series, which, funnily enough, was also about drifting. It's clear that developers Level 91 Entertainment are fans, especially when you see the anime-inspired visuals of Inertial Drift. But what really sets it apart is its control scheme. You might wonder how different a driving game can be, but this one truly is different. It uses a twin-stick setup, yes. You heard that right. It feels a bit strange at first when you move the left stick and the car lurches slowly, but that's where the right stick comes in. The right stick controls the angle of the drift, and when you get the hang of it, it feels incredibly intuitive. It's not as simple as just yanking the right stick around effortlessly drifting around corners without a care in the world though. Indeed, each car has its own characteristics, with some needing much less speed when turning into the bends, or they'll need gentle throttle or brake usage to keep the back end in check. Some can be a bit too awkward to handle, but most feel great to drive once you find the key to their style. It always feels cool when you get a drift just right, throwing the car around at impossible speeds and with impossible precision. Of course, the totally arcade physics help with this. Another thing that sets Inertial Drift apart from the competition is its story. It's actually a bit of a visual novel, with each character having their own path to follow throughout the game. You'll start with a choice of Edward, Ada or Iba, each determining the overall difficulty mainly due to the way their cars behave. Ada's, for example, is nicely balanced for the average player, while Edward's is extremely easy to control. As you play through their stories, you'll unlock extra challenges which, when completed, add extra cars and characters to other modes. This means there's plenty of content to keep you playing for many hours. As I mentioned earlier, there really is a distinctive anime look to this game. Whether you're racing through the neon city or down the snowy mountainside, everything looks like it's bathed in a glow of pinks and blues and reds, depending on the selected track, of course. There are subtle visual clues for each run, like lights lining a corner to denote a heavy braking zone, or painted roads signalling where best to place your car as you drift around a bend. The animation as your engine revs on the start line, the car bucking like a bull being held back before stampeding, adds to that anime styling. The way it swings out in drifts completely unrealistically just makes it look cool. That's one of the main things about drifting, right? It's about style as much as it is about speed. This is reflected in the stories told too, whether it be Edward wanting to just enjoy his road trip or Ada wanting to learn the ins and outs of each run. It almost encourages you to just have fun and enjoy the feeling of drifting around each location. You don't always have to win an encounter to progress either. The story just adapts to how you perform, making it feel like more of an experience than a genuine racer. It can be a little bit repetitive at times though. During the story, you'll often drive the same route several times before moving on. It works as you learn each route more with every run, but some will wish there was a little more variety on offer. That's where things like challenges and Grand Prix mode come into play at least. The challenges give you a set car and objective, such as beating a certain time or driving as far as possible, allowing you to unlock new cars for other modes. The biggest challenge comes from Grand Prix mode, however, in which you have a limited number of tries to beat 5 events. Each event is essentially a set challenge for whichever car you've chosen, some offering a real test for your skills. This will please the high score chasers as they embark on their unending quest of self-improvement. We reviewed Inertial Drift primarily on the PC version, but we also checked out the Switch version too. Now, where this version stumbles slightly is down to the overly sensitive analog sticks and a lack of proper triggers. Unlike the other versions, you can't likely accelerate through a corner to drift precisely or gently apply the brakes to bring the back end around mid-drift, making it a bit more awkward to carry the same speeds around each track. It just needs a little bit more patience to learn how to retrain your brain, but it won't ruin your experience or anything. The same goes for the frame rate. While played in handheld or docked on the big screen, you can't help but wish it was a little bit smoother. It floats around the region of 30 FPS, which is fine, but despite the lovely visual style, it shouldn't really test the power of the Nintendo Switch. Inertial Drift feels like a game that should be hitting 60 FPS, but again, the experience isn't exactly tarnished just because it isn't as silky smooth as the PC version. In many ways, you could at least say it feels closer to the anime style it adopts. While compromises have been made in the frame rate and controls, there's been no such compromising anywhere else in the game, and it packs just as much content into the Switch version as you can get on the PC or the other consoles. Don't expect to be racing in packs of cars though, this is a game about racing against the clock. At most you'll race one-on-one, but there are no collisions in Inertial Drift, so although it conjures memories of classic Namco arcade races at times, you'll never have to worry about being slowed down by other drivers. Inertial Drift really is a unique racing experience. Its control scheme is incredibly intuitive despite one or two minor issues when it comes to the Switch version specifically. Its visual novel-like story adds a little something extra, but can be skipped entirely for those who just want to enjoy drifting around the environments, and it looks the absolute business with its anime-inspired visuals. When you get into it, when you nail that perfect chain of drifts, it brings back feelings of playing games like Rage Racer. It makes you feel cool, and that's exactly the sort of game we need right now. And for that reason, I'm going to score the PC version of Inertial Drift an 8.5 out of 10. If you did enjoy the video, please hit like and subscribe, and tag that bell icon too so that you're kept up to date with all the reviews, previews, videos, podcasts, whatever it is that we're posting in a given week. If you'd like to, you can check out our Patreon and support us that way. We really do appreciate everything you guys do for us. In the meantime, I've been Mick Fraser for God is a Geek, that was Gary Bailey's review, and you guys have been lovely. Bye.